review. Thank you for joining me. I plan on watching all 207 movies that have 100% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I will give each a score of 1 to 10, and then once I've watched them all and scored them all, I will rank them from worst to best. I started in the 1920 silent movie era. I'm working my way to 2022, and this is 1938 with The Adventures of Robin Hood. This movie stars Errol Flynn as Robin Hood, Olivia de Havilland as Maid Marion, Basil Rathbone as Sir Guy, Claude as Prince John, Eugene Paulette as Friar Tuck, Hale as Little John. It won at the Oscars Best Art Direction, Best Film Editing, and Best Musical Score. It was nominated for Best Picture, but it lost to You Can't Take It With You. So this is the second movie that I've seen with the trio of Errol Flynn, Olivia de Havilland, and Basil Rathbone. The first movie was Captain Blood, and I thought that was a 1935 film, so it's only 3 years prior to this one. I thought for a 1935 film, it couldn't get any bigger. It couldn't get any more extravagant. They had really awesome ship fighting scenes. They had hundreds of extras. They had great dialogue, great sword fight, and I thought, okay, this is the pinnacle of what the 1930s action movie is going to give me, and I was completely wrong. So we all know kind of what Robin Hood did. He's robs from the rich, he gives to the poor. In some iterations, he's seen as a rogue. Some he's seen as a hero. Some he's seen as kind of a villain. But in this movie, he is definitely seen as a hero. So just to set up the summary of the synopsis of the movie, King Richard the Lionheart is at the Crusades fighting with his men. He leaves Sherwood Forest and all of his lands in charge of his brother Prince John. Prince John has kind of his right-hand man, Sir Guy. They come up with this idea, this plot that they can charge tons of taxes and just tax the heck out of everyone, and they can pocket the money for themselves, and that way they can get rich off their people's hardships. The problem is that these people are suffering insurmountable hardships. They're having to sell everything they have just for food. They aren't able to get clothing. They're just kind of living in poor squalor right in these lands, and they're having kind of a tough life. So Robin Hood takes it upon himself. He's going to take down the evilness. He's going to rob from the rich. He's going to give to the poor. He's going to take all their gold. He's going to take their food. He's going to rob their caravans. He's going to give all that to the poor people so that they can live a decent life while King Richard is away. And then when he gets back, maybe they can settle the score with his brother. This movie is phenomenal. I can't think of a better Robin Hood than Errol Flynn. Now, I will say, preface all of that I'm going to talk about, I've seen Robin Hood, Men in Tights, probably 40 times, and I knew that it was a parody of Robin Hood, but I didn't know it was a parody of this Robin Hood. I'm assuming it's a parody of this Robin Hood because it is just spot on. And I was laughing at scenes that maybe weren't as funny as I was making them out to be, just because I was remembering that movie. It's just like with Frankenstein, when I saw Young Frankenstein, it brings back all these memories of when I was watching this movie as a kid, and I just absolutely love it. But Errol Flynn is perfect. He is the best swashbuckler I've ever seen. At the end of the movie, he does a really long sword fight with Sir Guy, who is Rathbone. They had a sword fight also in Captain Blood, but this one is a lot longer. There's a scene when you can't see them. They're out of frame, and it's just their shadows that are sword fighting, which is absolutely spectacular. I would have never dreamt of putting that in a movie. Now, that was also in Men in Tights, and they did like sock puppet stuff. But this movie, that sword fight is phenomenal. While they're sword fighting individually, there is a even more massive sword fight of everyone going on. This is the end of the movie where King Richard has returned, and Sir Guy is now trying to come after Robin Hood, and kind of all of Sir Guy's men and all of Robin Hood's men, they all clash together into this really epic sword fight. I don't want to say it's the greatest sword fight I've ever seen, because in my heart that'll always be The Princess Bride, but this is definitely up there as far as just on a massive scale for 1939 for the time. This is absolutely chaotic, and its chaos makes it absolutely amazing. If you want to watch a huge sword fight or any type of battle in a movie, really, you just want the most chaos possible. Olivia de Holland in this movie as Maid Marion, I actually really enjoyed how she had more time in this movie. I feel like in Captain Blood she didn't really have a chance to shine as far as her acting goes, but this movie she really does. So in the beginning she really hates Robin Hood because of what she's been told about how he is and what he is. So when you first meet her and you meet them together, you can really tell the hatred for him. You can really tell that she's absolutely annoyed by him and that she just wants him out of the way. And then in the middle of the movie, towards the middle of the movie, he kind of shows her what he's doing and why he's doing it. He takes her kind of to the back of Sherwood Forest where the ill and the sick are, and he's telling her that there's no one to care for these people since King Richard left. And this is one reason, this is the big reason why I do it, because these people need food and they need clothing, they need shelter, they need money, and Prince John has just taken everything away from him. So after she sees this, she realizes what's going on, and then she develops this love and she develops this affinity for Robin Hood, and her demeanor completely changes, and she does a really good job with her acting. Now you could tell she's completely devoted to Robin. There's couple points in the movie where she actually saves Robin Hood's life because she knows that there's no one else to do this, and she knows that she actually now is in love with him because of his good deeds and because of just, how awesome he is with everything he does. Her acting, I think, really blossoms in this movie more than it did in Captain Blood. And I'll also say when I did Captain Blood, I had never heard of her before, and I didn't realize that she was as big of an actress as she was back in the day. She won like 1 or 2 Oscars. She was nominated for like 7 Oscars or something like that, and I can't believe I've never heard of her. But when I was watching Captain Blood, I definitely didn't think that she was like that caliber of an actress. But watching her in Robin Hood, I can definitely see how she became the great actress that she became, because you can definitely, she had more to work with here. I feel like she had more scenes, she had more dialogue, she was given more emotion, she was given more like push and pull of how she feels, and she did just an absolutely amazing job with it. Basil Rathbone as Sir Guy, I know in real life he was actually a pretty good fencer. He was a good sword fighter, and this movie it really shows. And it's just too bad. I've seen 2 movies with him so far, and both movies he's kind of the evil villain, so he loses both sword fights. But it would kind of be nice to see how he would shine in like a real sword fight when he's the good guy and he can actually not hold back anything and just show how great of a sword fighter he actually is. I would love to see that. Maybe he did a movie where he doesn't play a villain that I can go back and see where he has some sort of sword fighting or fencing scene. I would just love to really see him come to his own and really shine in that stage, because clearly from both movies he has it inside of him. He just holds it back a little bit. But in Robin Hood, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, that last sword fight was fantastic. And then we have Claude Rains as Prince John. With Rains as Prince John and with all the characters in this movie, they're just all having just a really great time. It seems like Prince John really loves being evil, and he's having a really great time being evil, and just having a great time pillaging the people of his city, and a great time just being like the number one. He even, towards the end of the movie, he even conspires to get King Richard killed, and before he even makes sure that King Richard was killed, before he hears from word of it, he just assumes that it happened, and he gives this royal like gala about how he's now the king and now he has made himself king. And it's just it's a really funny scene where he just is totally in love with himself, and he loves what he's doing, and he loves being the villain. And in this type of movie, especially in a Robin Hood movie, because a lot of Robin Hood movies I've seen besides Robin Hood Men in Tights, they just take themselves too seriously and they're not having fun with any of it. These are supposed to be Robin Hood and like his merry men, so they're supposed to be merry. And in this movie, you actually feel that. You actually see that they're having a good time, and that even the villain's having a great time being villainous. And it's what you want to see. You don't want to see like a bunch of stuck-up people in this type of fun action movie. You don't want to see that. Eugene Paulette as Friar Tuck. Now, I haven't seen, I don't think, Friar Tuck in a Robin Hood movie. Maybe I have. I know definitely Little John. I'm trying to think back at like all the Robin Hood movies, but I never knew. I never read the story, and I don't really know a lot about friars, and I didn't know like they were such good sword fighters, or maybe that's just for this movie. But with his small stature and his very unique voice, he is a really good sword fighter in this movie. He's supposed to be like one of the best sword fighter in all of the land, and it definitely shows in this movie. He does a really good job. He's very funny. He's very quirky. He's also part of like the funniness of this movie. And the actors all mesh really well together. And then there's Alan Hale as Little John. When you first meet him, and he has like the sword fight and they're dueling, and then he says, "Oh, I knew you were Robin Hood all the time." He also is a very good comedic aspect to this movie. All the people around him are just very good character actors, and they're very good at being funny, and they're very good at really setting the tone of this movie. And one thing that I really, really loved about this movie is that it's in color. And not only is it in color, but it is really well done. I would think that this movie was like from the 50s or 60s, the way that the way the color is done. When I saw A Star is Born, the color on that was a little bit washed out to me. I don't know if it's because some of these movies, like the actual old copies of the movies, didn't really survive, and they had to remake the movies, or they had to like try to remaster old copies that they had, and they had to piece together different things because the old negatives didn't survive. I don't know if that happened to A Star is Born, or if they just did something different for this movie, because they're not that far apart. A Star is Born will actually come later. I actually haven't reviewed that yet, so it's either same year or a little bit later. But the movie in this is the color is crisp, and it looks just amazing. And I don't know, for me, honestly, I love black and white movies, but I don't know if this movie would have worked as well as it does to me in black and white. And I think the reason why, I just think it's just so much more epic and so much more bigger than Captain Blood, is because it's in color. Maybe if Captain Blood was in color, I would have said that it looked just as big and just as amazing. But this movie, it's just the action sequences, the dialogue. Robin Hood is very sarcastic, and he's very sure of himself. He's very, like, I don't want to say egotistical, but he is, he has confidence in what he's doing, and he knows what he's doing is right, and he's the best at what he's doing, and his confidence kind of spreads through all of his men, where his men all are confident that every fight they go into, they're going to win. Every time they stop like a cart carrying supplies, they're going to get those supplies. They have no fear that they are going to ever lose, and I think that part of that is because of the confidence that Robin Hood has, and that he's instilled in these people. These are people who didn't have a home, they didn't have a place. They are Little John. All of his money has gone to taxes, and he just wants, to be part of something. And Robin Hood fills that void. He makes them part of something. They're fighting for something good, and it's a really feel-good movie. Now, criticisms, I really don't have any criticisms at all. I don't know how you could criticize this movie. What you could find about this movie that could be criticism, I have no idea. The visual effects are great. The camera work is amazing. The acting is spectacular. The action is fantastic. The color is great. I haven't seen You Could Take It With You, or You Can't Take It With You, but my assumption is maybe this movie should have been a close second to winning the Academy Award, just based on just how innovative it is and how refreshing it is. I've seen a lot of movies so far from 1920 to 1938, which I'm at now. I've even reviewed, I think, a few from 1938, and I have not seen a movie that's of this scale, this caliber, this just awesomeness. You could just describe this movie as just a ball of awesomeness. I haven't seen this yet, and when I was watching it and after I was done, I was like, yes! I love this movie. This movie is an easy 10 out of 10. I have not given... I don't know if I've given any movies. I gave The Kid a 10 out of 10 thus far. So this is the second 10 out of 10 I've done in like 23 movies. But I could not find anything bad to say about this. And I really, really enjoyed this movie. I might watch this movie over and over and over again if I have a chance, just because it is such a feel-good, great movie. And this is one reason why I'm very happy to be doing these movie reviews, because sometimes I run into movies like this that just are gems that I've never seen before, that I know that I've always should have watched and just never got to. So Robin Hood, Adventures of Robin Hood, 1938, 10 out of 10. Thank you. Hope you have a good day.